Good late afternoon slash early evening, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. And today's a relatively important day on the NFL calendar, at least for the Seahawks, because today was the first day of Seahawks OTAs. So, we start to get a better idea of what our team is, start to get a better idea of who to look out for when the season starts. It's basically the next step after your rookie mini camps. So now almost the entire team is showing up at the VMAC to work out, to show what they can do, to start doing on-field work. And as we move through the rest of May and then move through June, we're going to continue to see more and more of these practices come together in such a way that we get to get an idea of what this team is going to be in 2023. But the headline for today is actually a little bit of a surprising free agent move the Seahawks have made. Yes, they had another one in the tank. And they're bringing back a guy they signed last year and then barely played. That's right, we are bringing back free agent cornerback Artie Burns. He is re-signing with the Seahawks on a 1-year deal. For those of you who may not remember, and I don't blame you if you don't, because, again, he didn't really play for us. Artie Burns was a Seahawk last year. We signed him thinking that we were going to have an issue at cornerback, but then Tariq Woolen came along so quickly, and we also got a pretty good year out of Mike Jackson that we just didn't ever really need to play him. So Artie Burns joined guys like Justin Coleman as people who just kind of sat around and watched the younger players play. So we ended up not needing him. So, of course, I thought, well, we need him even less now, so I didn't think there was any way he was going to come back, but here he is back. Why is he back? Well, if you take a look at some of the other tweets that came from the Seahawks beat writers on what happened at the OTAs, it makes a little bit more sense. So, I want to go over to this Brady Henderson one here. One of his notes is there are a collection of veterans who are not at the OTAs yet. Among them is Tariq Woolen. So Tariq Woolen is not yet attending OTAs. Again, the OTAs are voluntary, so it's not like it's a problem. It's not like they're going to be punished. But Woolen is not there. And Witherspoon, while we're here, is still somewhat limited. Not critically limited, but somewhat limited. And then Bob Condotta chimes in with this about Kobe Bryant. He looked somewhat limited. And Isaiah Dunn also didn't appear to do much today per him. So you put all that together, and it seems like we just wanted a body at cornerback, somebody who can play the cornerback position for at least the start of OTAs. So I don't read a ton into this. I seriously doubt Artie Burns. I mean, we'll have to see the contract, right? I seriously doubt Artie Burns makes the 53-man roster in a few months. I seriously doubt Artie Burns is part of our long-term plans. But I guess we just want to protect ourselves from the worst case scenario. And you always want to protect yourself against that because Witherspoon, still a little bit limited. What if it lingers on to the start of the season and he's not completely ready to go week 1? Kobe Bryant, limited. What if whatever he has lingers all the way into week 1? Isaiah Dunn, same thing. You want to have somebody there that you feel at least slightly okay about putting into a game. You don't want to just throw random guys out there because your all your corners got hurt. So Artie Burns, at the very least, he was part of this team last year. He knows the staff. He knows the team. He knows the teammates. So it's like, okay, you feel better about throwing him out there than just signing some random guy off the street at the last second, I guess. So Artie Burns, he's back as a Seahawk. Seriously doubt this is anything long term. But for the moment, he's back. And I don't know what the corresponding move is with the roster because we were up to 90 players. So somebody's going to have to go to make room. It's going to be easy to find somebody who can go at this point. But yeah, we're going to have to let somebody go to clear room for him. But hopefully this is a very temporary thing because all of the guys who are actually on our roster get back in short order. So that's the headline from today. There is some other stuff to gather from the first OTA that just concluded a little bit ago. Again, like I said, Witherspoon is still somewhat limited, and so is Jackson Smith. But both did more than they did in the rookie camp. So they're progressing. And at this point, it would be a true shock if they're not 100% for the season. Don't get me wrong, it's always possible, but they're progressing, and that's the important part. Some of the other veterans who were not present were Daryl Taylor, Mario Edwards, who we just signed a couple weeks ago, and Michael Dixon, and of course Jamal Adams and Jordan Brooks, because they're rehabbing in, I think, Texas. So they are not participating in these OTAs yet. They may show up eventually, but mandatory VMAC practices don't start for a little bit. One thing that caught my attention when I was looking at what people were saying and some of the video that was getting posted on Twitter from this mini camp, though, or OTAs, was Eskridge. Eskridge is out there. He actually looks okay. If Eskridge could make a comeback and do something positive for the Seahawks in 2023, that would be great. So I actually really liked seeing him out there because we do have an issue with receiver depth on this team. I think the Seahawks have some of the best receivers in the league, but if you compare us to a team like the Bengals, who I think have the best receivers in the league, their depth is much better than ours. We go 3 deep, and then we fall off a cliff. So if Eskridge could at least be a viable wide receiver 4, and then maybe Derek Young becomes like wide receiver 5, or even if those two things get flipped. And it's not even really about receiver. It's also about what if Eskridge could be a kick returner or punt returner and just never play receiver and just worry about playing kickoff returns and punt returns. If he could just do those two things, that's adding value too. So the fact that he looks, according to most things that I saw, better than he's looked since he sustained that massive concussion against the Colts in his first ever game, hey, I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention. I still question his ability to make this team, but he's going to give it the best try that he can. And if he does make the team, then I'll hope that he did it by earning it and not just because he was a second-round pick. Kobe Bryant, Isaiah Dunn, I already mentioned that. With the cornerback position being what it was, Witherspoon took many of the reps with the starters at one cornerback spot, Michael Jackson at the other. One thing that was noted was that Michael Jackson was on the opposite side from where he was last year. So we're seeing a little bit of flexibility for him to play on the left or right side, which if we're going to play more man defense is also good. Diggs and Love were the safeties with Adams out. Wagner and Bush were the inside linebackers, which is kind of what I expected. Here's Bob talking about that thing that I just mentioned where Jackson was mostly playing on the right side. Last year he played on the left. May have been to fill in for Woolen. But the point is, if you're going to be playing more man defense, your cornerbacks need to be able to have flexibility to move from one side to the other, back and forth. So that's encouraging to see. One note on the offensive line from Condotta here. Evan Brown took all the snaps at center with the number 1 offense. One thing that I really liked, Jake Curhan was playing right tackle when Abe Lucas was out, meaning that we now view Jake Curhan as our backup right tackle, which is kind of what I've wanted all along. Seems to me that we always play Jake Curhan at guard, where he's clearly inferior, in my estimation, to the way he plays at right tackle. So I like the fact that Curhan's reps are coming in at right tackle, which is his natural position and is the position he's best at. And those are the main notes that I took away from this first day of OTAs. I don't know if we're going to learn a heck of a lot in the coming days, but those were the things that stood out to me. Again, Artie Burns re-signing with the Seahawks. He's back. I doubt he makes the final roster, but it depends on what happens with some of these little injuries we have. See you guys later.